I think the man of the movement in this week is Benjamin Bolmel. There are those who call him dumb. There are those who call him he has no confidence. He's inarticulate. I think he's the best. He has understood the 48 laws of power perfectly clear. That you should not outshine your master. Yeah, and especially if you are in a kingdom where the king is very jealous, you must live in his shadows. And Bol has done that perfectly. He pretends to be dumb. He has pretended to be dumb because this is the only way he can survive. And where he is now, he should continue until when, if is this where he has reached his final stage, then he must unleash his potential. He must unleash his potential by following up with all the things he has promised yesterday. They should not be just made onto the hair. He must follow up. There is only one leader of the cabinet, and that leader is the president, the commander-in-chief. It's the prerogative of the commander-in-chief to appoint his cabinet. That is what is called the government. The cabinet is the government. So as head of government, he must know what is happening in each portfolio. He is the one who assigned portfolios to, regardless of what the agreement says, but he can decide to remove one person. Even Riek Machar can be removed. So let us not waste time talking about Yolanda or some governor somewhere there.
All right.
Yes, no one is untouchable. In the history of the liberation, we are the only revolution that rewards those who fought it. We have rewarded those who even, including Elia Lomoro, who is famous for throwing eggs in the on Dr. John Garang. He is now the cabinet minister for cabinet affairs. We brought Tutke and made him security advisor. Yet this was a guy who was conspiring, revealing, doing intelligence on us when we were in the bushes. And still, there were accusations labeled against the former presidential advisor on security affairs. He was said to be fueling violence in Unity. And there were evidence that were gathered by organizations, the UN in particular. So to be appointed an ambassador is actually being told, we will not punish you for the crimes you have participated in.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Point, the home of scholars. I'm your host, Admiral Carl Gordon. At the Scholars Hub, it's the home of information, transformation, and entertainment. Still on the current affairs, who to dissect it better today as our political analyst and commentator other than Makoi Majak. Makoi Majak is an advocate of the High Courts in Kenya, currently pursuing masters in law at the University of London. Makoi Majak also runs a law firm here in Kenya, making it the first South Sudanese law firm in East Africa. Welcome on show.
Thank you.
So today we are having you on set as political analyst and commentator about the current affairs that are going on here in the country. Because I think there's the air is not that clear, as there have been some turmoil in the political arena that came with the reshuffling of the cabinet by His Excellency the President.
Yes, I do not know if I quite fit the bill of being a political commentator, analyst. However, because I'm a lawyer, I ought to know something of everything.
Correct.
And it is the little that I know that I'm going to give to your viewers.
Correct.
And they will know that I might be wrong in my analysis, but it is because I do not wish to be right.
That's a legal a legal phrase.
I mean, there were so many events that have taken place in the country, and each of us has his own interpretation.
Correct.
We analyze differently.
Correct.
And how we see based on where one comes from in terms of political alignments. So my opinion might not suit a certain group who might see it as being biased, or a certain group who feels it is out of fact, it's factually accurate.
Let's start with the removal of the governor of Western Equatoria.
Thank you, Savit. Foremost, first I would, before we even go there, I would like to congratulate Dr. Benjamin Bolmel, who is now the vice president of the Republic of South Sudan, and I mean the third, because in the hierarchy it's Salva Kiir, Riek Machar, and used to be Wani, the former vice president.
Correct.
Now it is Benjamin, followed by Taban, and then Rebecca.
Correct.
So I convey my congratulations to them, and I wish him success in his new assignment. Coming home to what happened in Western Equatoria, I think Western Equatoria has had a history of violence since 2010, and it started with SPLM mismanaging the elections, the nominations.
Okay.
It started when the SPLM party felt Bakasoro was too independent to be let to run Western Equatoria. So they imposed Nunu. When Bakasoro won the nominations, he was forced out and Nunu was brought in. And this caused Bakasoro to run independently. So in the aftermath, it was seen as Dinka trying to influence, putting their puppet in Western Equatoria. So politics. The Dinka became targets of the communities living there, and all the businesses, all the pastoralists were there. Had to be repatriated back to Barghazal or Upper Nile, and a lot of lives were lost. It became a violence that recurred like that, recurring. So with the coming of Tuyo, I understand is from SPLM-IO, and the agreement stipulates that they take Western Equatoria. However, we must understand here that this agreement is called political convenience. There is one single agreement in the country, which is the transitional constitution, and it is the constitution that gave us the first crop of the politicians we have now, and the first establishment. The leadership that is still there, it derives its legitimacy from the transitional constitution. Salva Kiir was the first elected leader in 2010, and up to today, he still enjoys that privilege. That is why he was able to sack. He has the prerogative of organizing his cabinet.
Correct.
But when it comes to this agreement, this agreement purports to say we have removed the power of the election and put it in the hands of the presidency,
Correct.
which comprise of the president and the vice president and the other ones. So now in the event where the Western Equatorial governor only become answerable to the vice president and not to the president of the country, this has caused, and the president, you must remember, is the symbol of national unity.
Correct.
Yeah, it represents the face of the country. He's the head of state and government. I think the burden of maintaining law, peace and order in the country falls on the president. And in the event that the president realized that there's no peace in parts of the country, as the commander-in-chief, he must act. And that is what he did, regardless of what the agreement says. But necessity dictates that there must be peace. The agreement, on the other hand, says that Riago will sack Putuyo, the Western Barghazal, Western Yambio, Western Equatoria.
Yeah, I can see there were celebrations.
There were celebrations
by the citizens around Western Equatoria. So do you think it was the right call that the president made?
Absolutely, because what then becomes what makes you a leader? The leader must be able to hear from the people.
Okay.
Yeah, you must be able to hear, your decision must resonate with the ground. Correct. And that is what we have seen the day before yesterday. We have seen a lot of peaceful demonstrations saying, thanking, appreciating the president for removing the governor. And I think that has to be appreciated.
Do you have the same, what do you call it, opinion with the removal of the Minister of Health, that is Excellency Yolanda Will?
Yeah, the prerogative still falls on the president. You know, the cabinet is headed by only one person. It's not headed by 5. It's not headed by 2. There is only one leader of the cabinet, and that leader is the president, the commander-in-chief. It's the prerogative of the commander-in-chief to appoint his cabinet. That is what is called the government. Okay. The cabinet is the government. So as head of government, he must know what is happening in each portfolio. He is the one who assigns portfolios to, regardless of what the agreement says, but he can decide to remove one person. Even Riek Machar can be removed. So let us not waste time talking about Yolanda or some governor somewhere there.
All right.
Yes, no one is untouchable.
Let's go to the SPLM politics. Like what happened with the removal of that is the vice president.
The vice president.
Yeah.
I think
James Waniga and replacement with His Excellency Benjamin Bolmel,
Mm.
and also removing Peter Lambert as the Secretary General of the party.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think Dr. Wani has served this country in many capacities. He has served as a liberator, he has served as a speaker, and has served as a vice president for over 10 years. I think without us dwelling whether he was done justice or not, I think the vice president should come to the people of South Sudan and say, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for all the years you have given. You have trusted me to lead, to serve you. Because service is supposed to be done to the, you cannot impose yourself to serve. It is the
Okay.
people who decide when you should serve. So Dr. Wani, the sacking did not come as a surprise. Yeah, it's a shake-up which affects the party, and what the leader of the party decides, the party must follow. Yes, and the other one was the SPLM.
Yes.
I think fair enough to Lam. In the first place, he did not deserve that position. He's a junior.
Why do you think so?
The hierarchy, the SPLM is based on a hierarchy. But the moment he was brought in, it killed the party hierarchy, because it was supposed to be Kwal Manyang, which should be the Secretary General. Now Kwal was relegated to the third deputy. He became, and Lam was picked behind as a note taker.
Okay, may I
He
cut
was
you
taking
short?
notes like you are taking now.
Let me ask you a twin question. There's been this ongoing, what do you call it? Is it?
The SPLM.
Yeah, the SPLM.
shuffle,
Yeah, with the position.
Mm-hmm.
They say there's this theory of like the president is trying to elevate the youth. Yeah, like the instance of Bolmel and also of Peter Lambert when they brought him as the Secretary General for the SPLM. Aren't you contradicting yourself by saying that he did not deserve it at first instance?
Well, you know, when it became a law, when Bol now get appointed, because when Lam was appointed, it was seen as a violation of the hierarchy rules, because they sat and the others nominated Kwal, and the chairperson, the chairman asked, and what about the chairman? Don't I have an opinion? Do I have a vote? Then they were said, one said, of course, Mr. Chairman, you have a vote. And he said, for me, I nominate Peter Lambert, who was sitting behind. And everyone was deaf silence.
Yes.
And Kwal Manyang was the person to say, I endorse Mr. Chairman. And so everyone endorsed. And there they already know it was a violation, because this is a note taker.
So now do you recall your statement? At first that he did not deserve it.
He did not deserve it, because if you are to go by the hierarchy, he did not deserve it.
No, have you now recalled your statement?
And if you read his appreciation letter, he was very grateful that he was given an opportunity. This is an opportunity of a lifetime.
All right.
If you are not in the liberation, if you are not part of the big five, those groups that were headed by Garang, followed by Kir and like that, then you don't get that post unless you are not Pagan.
Now with the appointment of
Bolmel.
of Dr. Bolmel now,
Yes.
Do you welcome it 100%?
I think it's a reloading of the party. You know, the party has become redundant. It has decayed. And for you to inject new energy, where do you get this new energy from? You must then begin to, as the chairperson has done, the chairman has done by bringing Lam. It is the same path that will be followed. So you have to bring a new face, a fresh blood, a new energy. And when Dr. Wani was told, you can be a SG, that is a very powerful post. It's a powerful position. But if he sees it as a demotion, then he should just peacefully sit down and remain in his house and be a senior advisor.
Now, at the current trajectory, what is the fate of these old veterans like Kwal Manyang, Daniel Awenakot, among the rest, and including Dr. Wani Iga?
Yeah, I think it is generational exit. Their generation is coming to an end. It is their time.
Do you think like now the president has accepted the fate of Dr. Biar?
Dr. Biar said the word. He said it. He preached it as an ideology.
Yeah.
As an ideology. But This is a time in a moment. This is a period in time.
Yes.
It was bound to come anyway, one way or the other, whether you push it or you don't push it. Right now, you cannot tell me Kwal Manyang will succeed here, or Daniel Awedakut will succeed here, or Professor Wanega, because that is preposterous. Their time has just gone like that, and you must give. There is the generation called the Terap. The Red Army. What was their purpose? They were the part of the liberation. And those of Peter B.R., Dr. Bolmill, Dr. Sunday George, Dr. Sunday, Emmanuel Dr. Sunday, De John. There are so many of them. This is their generation. And it is them who must bring the change. Those of Professor Wani, President Kiir, Kwal, and the rest, they brought us a country. Now it is us who must bring what should be in the country. We build a house, but for this house to be decorated, we must now look for designers.
In short, are you advocating for dismissal of the hierarchical system?
You know, it has already died a natural death. You don't have to dismiss something that is not there. Yes, of course, it has died a natural death. By bringing Dr. Bolmill as vice president and first deputy chairperson.
Was it now the final nail to the coffin?
It is. 6 feet down the 6 feet down the ground. There is no hierarchy anymore. The new hierarchy is now the president and the first deputy.
So, all these veterans, what are you telling them? Should they go back to Bilpam or should they go and retire home? What do you think is their fate?
I think if we have to talk about veterans, those who fought the war, some of them have died, some of them are in the villages. I mean, I have a uncle who went to the bush in the 80s. He still has no one single star. That one is a veteran, and he has resigned himself to that because he's happy. At least they have a country. They should be happy that we have a country. We are willing to leave it to these people who will take it forward. This is how far we have come. We have danced to this far. We have been good dancers, and we are willing to step aside. So they should not be part of the mess again. They should not be do what happened in 2013. It should not happen. And besides, I think they are inconsequential as of now. They are inconsequential.
So, you are advocating like a person like Waniga should not accept his new role.
It should not be the SG. No, it should not be the SG. In fact, that appointment should be revoked. That position should be given to a young person who will mobilize voters. What is Wani going to? He's going to dance, and of course, what else? What is he going to? It's the same message that he has been singing a very long time ago. And in fact, I am of the view that if it becomes very hard to remove people like Wani, then SPLM should be abolished, and Bolmill and Salva Kiir and the rest of us should form a new party.
There is an unsaid rule that with the formation of SPLM, they share what the positions according to the regions, geographical regions. That is the Equatorial region, Barkazar region, and the Upper Nile region.
That is true, but
what happens now with
SPLM laws are not national laws. That is the SPLM law. It is not a national law. The constitution does not say the vice president must be from SPLM. A vice president can come from anywhere. And so even if Bol was not assuming Bol was not a vice president, was not an SPLM member, he will still be a vice president. He would be eligible because he is a South Sudanese.
Are you saying you are 100% now satisfied with how things are going?
Of course.
The people of the Equatorial region should not be appeased.
Far from it. I think with Equatorial now, Equatorial have a vice president. It doesn't matter whether from which party they come from. Are we not serving one government? Are we not serving from one government? This is a nation coming together of tribes to form a collection. And this collection, the agreement introduced this vice president. Whether 4 vice president comes from Upper Nile in SPLM-IO or SPLM, that is immaterial, as long as they are South Sudanese. So SPLM, that there must be a region, SPLM's constitution was overcome by events, the RCs. I think the RCs is greater than the SPLM hierarchy. Because now we have Lagu's daughter, we have former Vice President Hussein from Awil, and now we have Bolmel from Awil, and we have Kir from Warab. I think the people who should be complaining are the people of Lake State. We don't have a Vice President. The people
you
of
have the Minister of Finance. You have the Minister of Justice.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Competent individuals. Highly competent. If given time, they will do what they can. They will show the country what we can do, what the people of Lakes can do.
You had a very funny quote that you said that Honorable Tutgalwag had a soft landing. Can you decipher it?
Perfect. I think it's actually a soft landing, and I've always been consistent that in the history of the liberation, we are the only revolution that rewards those who fought it. We have rewarded those who even, including Elia Lomoro, who is famous for throwing eggs in the on Dr. John Garang. He is now the cabinet minister for cabinet affairs. We brought Tutka and made him security advisor. Yet this was a guy who was conspiring, revealing, doing intelligence on us when we were in the bushes. So I think it is a great level of forgiveness that we have had for these people. And still, there were accusations leveled against the former presidential advisor on security affairs. He was said to be fueling violence in Unity. And there were evidence that were gathered by organizations, the UN in particular. So to be appointed an ambassador is actually being told, we will not punish you for the crimes you have participated in.
If there were crimes, he would have been on trial.
Well,
so those are allegations.
Legally, they are allegations, but our president is forgiving person. But if it was me, those things will not go unpunished.
Let's go to the security docket, the national security. Currently, it's vacant.
Yeah, it's not vacant. There's an acting DG.
Technically.
There's an acting DG.
Okay, technically. Yeah. And you have been acquainted with one of your friends there. We call him Simba. do you see any possibility of Simba returning?
Well, we must be very clear. Simba, who is Simba?
That is General Akolkor.
General Akolkor Kuch. Well, he has been a very good officer. He has served loyally under President Kiir. He has made his mark in our country's history. He has made his mark in one of the institutions in our country, in the security sector, which is the National Security Service. And he was a loyal person to Kiir, and they fell out like they did. He was appointed governor, and they still fell out. I think there's still a chance for him to reconcile with the president.
With this game of chess, do you see any possibility of him?
Well, in politics, late Molana Talaring, who is the former ambassador to Russia, told us that the grip of a politician is not sealed with cement. You cannot dismiss a Kolkor from coming back. Simba will come back. He will emerge. He will emerge. Give it time. 2 months, 3 months, he will come back. President Kiir can decide to say, I have given you this one. Go and take care of this ministry. Or go to Warap and solve the security mess that is going on there.
You've endorsed Dr. Bolmel.
Yes.
Highly. So, but on the street, they seem to have a different perspective from you, based on his competence, having handled several projects in a manner that did not satisfy the public.
I have heard those complaints. And they have genuine points. They are genuine. They are legitimate, because people are saying the Baragazar road, and they are saying, "Is this how far is this? What Bol can do?" And people are saying he has not spoken for some time, and people are wondering. We have not heard from this guy. Who is this guy really? And public is bound to have those suspicions. But I think I'm a football fan, and I know you are also a football fan, and particularly I'm an Arsenal fan, and I'm not a fan of Kai Havertz.
Yes.
And most of the time, I always pray that Kai Havertz should not be in the team when we are playing a big team in the lineup. And when the team news come and I find he's in the lineup, and what do? The best thing for me is to support him from now on, because if he loses, the team loses. The people will not say it is Kai Havertz who lost the game. People will say it is Arsenal who have lost.
Yes.
Similarly, this is the situation we find ourselves now. For those who see the incompetence of Bolmil, I urge them that where he is now, we can only support him. We should not sabotage him. And this goes back to my letter I wrote to the former DG of NSS, Gerald Akechong. I told him, if you fail, South Sudan will fail. We will be behind you, regardless of what we have been branded. I was accused that I was plotting part of people who are plotting against the president, that everything. But once you become to a national institution, whether you are Riek Machar, whether you are Gadet, whether you are Tutkeo, or you are Paul Malone, or whoever, or a Kolkor, whether you have disagreed with the system before and come back to the system, whether you are incompetent and you are now finding yourself in the system, we must support you the same way you supported Abdel Bagi, who was a former militia. So if we sabotage Bolmil, and yet is the third most powerful leader in the country, then we are failing our country. So Bolmil must win for South Sudan to win. And we must do that not only for Bolmil, but for all our leaders, whether you are Riek Machar or whoever. We must support you if you are standing in the seat of government, because that is our country. That is called patriotism.
Now let's come to your specialization, that is law. You are a practitioner of law, and currently attorney of the High Court.
Yes.
Here in Kenya.
Yeah.
What does our judiciary system look like, and what recommendations can you make?
I am an advocate of the High Court in Kenya. I was admitted in 1st July 2024, and I've been practicing since. I have a law firm that is running in Nairobi with my colleagues. Yes, and when we look at what is happening in our country, it is a sad affair, because no country can progress without the rule of law, and we must be very intentional about this conversation. If you look at it, I was in Juba in December, and from November to December, and what I saw there was unbelievable, was shocking. You see a judge, I took a visit to the High Court of Juba, and you see judges arriving in borders and arriving late in court. Some don't even come, and when they don't come, no one can tell advocates that the judge is not coming today. You end up hanging in the court corridors there for whatever long it takes you. And what is the point? What is the genesis of this one? Right now, our judges have stayed 13 months without salary. 13 months without salary, without allowances. 13 months where their children are suffering. 13 months where they cannot get food, no medication, no school for their children. These are volunteers of the nation. Yet we have a government that has 35 ministers with everything complete, cars, whatever. And our judges who are supposed to administer justice are riding on a border. It means justice is for sale in our country.
Just to cut you short, you just welcomed the appointment of Dr. Bolmel as the economic cluster vice president, yeah? And his recent decree was that no salaries should be delayed. Will it be practical?
I might not be able to tell where he has his hopes in, where he has that assurance from. But we have had such promises before. The president has, every time he appoints a new finance minister, he gives directives that I am directing you to release salaries. And where they are released from, we do not know. Why do they don't arrive? They are released and they don't arrive. So any ball has thumbed his chest We have to believe him. We have to say, okay, we believe you for now, and in 1 week later there are no salaries. We will brand him a liar. Because the biggest monkey on balls back now is the Baragaza Road, which lies incomplete, and this is something that Dr. Ball will have used as a ladder for him to showcase what he can do for the country. That unfinished road holds his vision. That unfinished road holds his ambition. Whether his ambition will thrive or whether his ambition will go to oblivion, as now vice president, we will see whether resources will be taken back again, and that there will be some high level of seriousness. Now that is a national minister, a national leader, the third most powerful leader in the country. So there must be something that he should show us that even without Kir, I can do something. As the third most person in the country after Riyak, I can do this. So this is his ladder for him to come forward. Yes.
So you think it will be achievable?
It can be achievable, but it has to do with some seriousness. It has to come with some sacrifices from themselves, the political class. Because money comes in the country. Where does that money go to? You have to trace it, and you must sacrifice that. Where it used to go before, we are taking it, we are totally diverting it from where it normally used to go and taking it to the prime objectives, which is paying salaries. If the vice president has promised as a stake his reputation that the salaries will be released, then it has to go, it has to be done.
We'll have a leap of faith as to that. Our justice is on sale. That is a very bold statement.
Yeah.
Can you substantiate it?
I tell you, what is difficult here? You get you go to a law school, you go to University of Juba. You spend 4 years in the University of Juba. Then you are told, go and find an advocate who will train you for 6 months, and then you will become an advocate. Then you are released to the public. Yet you have not been shown the procedural law. Apart what you learn in law school, in the school there in Jamajoba, is substantive law. These rules, but this law, like for example, the principle of negligence, the principle of
let's be systematic. Like here in Kenya, you go to law school.
Yes.
For 4 years.
Yes.
After then you go to Kenya School of Law.
Yes.
Now is it for specialization?
Yes, it is. It's not for specialization. Across the entire East Africa, and indeed the most advanced societies, there is a 3-tier system of studying law. First, you graduate from high school. Then you go from high school, you go to the LLB, which is the Bachelors of Law. You do it 4 years minimum. 4 years. After graduating there, you must have passed well. Then after that you go to the training professional development center of the legal profession itself, where you are taught ethics, you are taught procedures, you are taught standards, you are taught even a deeper law. That is beyond the rusty law, refined law. So I went to Kenya School of Law. After that, I was assigned under an advocate, Dr. Kiraitu Murungi, who is the former governor of Meru. I stayed there for 1 year, and after that, I was admitted by the Chief Justice, Honorable Martha Kome. Yeah. So there is a process you must follow for you to come out to be trusted that you can do something for the public.
Okay, what do you recommend for our country?
For South Sudan? Well, there is nothing to be recommended because what should be done is already there. There is a law establishing the South Sudan Legal Training Institute. It is an act of parliament passed in 2012. This act mandates that once you finish school, you finish from University of Juba or Starport, whichever school has law, then you attend that Legal Training Institute. It is like the Law Development Center of Uganda. It is like the Zanzibar training. It is like the Kenya School of Law.
Correct.
It is equivalent of Zambia's Institute of Legal Studies. It is equivalent to South Africa's this one. So this thing has been there since 2012. There has been learned to it. But the Ministry of Finance has not funded the building of that thing, the construction of that school. It has not funded the putting together of this structure, everything. So you find we are running, I do not know what we are prioritizing really. Because if we cannot prioritize the rule of law, then we will never progress as a community, as a society. You cannot have acts of parliament sitting idly there, yet they have been passed by a parliament elected by the people. Yeah? The Ministry of Finance, I don't know what it's prioritizing, but it is high time that they come up and operationalize that act, the Legal Training Institute of South Sudan, so that when you graduate from Jama Juba, University of Juba, you go first for advanced training, legal training. After that advanced, you will be taught the rules of evidence, the procedure, common law principles. After that, you come and be attached to an advocate of at least 6 years practice in the law, who will train you for 6 months at least, at minimum 6 months. After that, you should be put to the public to bet you whether you fit, whether you have the moral aptitude, moral fitness, certificate of moral fitness should be issued, whether you meet all these ethics and standards to be an advocate.
Like in the case of South Sudan, most of the cases that are being taken to the sultans,
Yes.
yeah, for solving and so on, unless high-profile cases.
Yeah.
Do you think, like, because there was this saying that is going on online, that our lawyers have been reduced to people who are just registering companies?
Yes. There are two issues here. There is the traditional justice system,
Which is approved.
which relies on the ADR method. ADR method. And then there is the formal court system, which is the court process, arbitration and court process. They are recognized. Those institutions are recognized in our country. But what is happening now is that the traditional methods, the traditional justice system is becoming more effective than the formal way.
Yeah, formal.
Yeah, and this is mainly because we have neglected the judiciary. Huh? Like now, the Supreme Court of South Sudan is not properly constituted. You cannot bring a constitutional matter before the Supreme Court now because they do not have the quorum.
Hello.
Yes, they are inadequate in number. You cannot bring, if you are arrested today and I go to bring a constitutional matter to bring you out, so that you can, your constitutional rights have been violated. The Supreme Court will not hear you because they do not have the numbers. They cannot sit. And yet, everyone knows and no one bothered about it. No one is bothered. Judges are not paid and no one is bothered. They come on border. There's no integrity of judicial officers. If a judge is riding on a bike and you are riding on a Mercedes Benz, do you think you will respect that judge? So there has to be, we have to fix this one and has to fix it somewhere else. There is where we started on the wrong footing.
So it is a matter of urgency right now for...
We must first, if the releasing of salaries is the best good way to start. Let everyone receive their salary to appreciate their work. That you are not working as a volunteer in your country. You cannot work as a volunteer in the nation. Who is working as a volunteer in among the 5 vice presidents and the 35 ministers and the over 40 something deputy and under secretary? They are not working for free. They have cars, they get fuel allowance, they get house allowance, they are medical allowance and everything. They are not working for free. Why should judges? Why should doctors? Why should nurses? Why should our discipline forces do for free? Why should they guard our forces our borders for free? Why should the police control the streets, maintain law and order for free? It is preposterous. It should not happen. It should not happen.
My director is reminding me of time, as it is of essence. I'll give you the liberty to talk to our audience. They are all scholars, by the way. This is the hub of scholars. What word we have for them, and and one word for the nation.
Okay. Thank you, Savit, for bringing me here. This is an opportunity that I very much appreciate, and I think the man of the movement in this week is Benjamin Bolmel. And when one has come to such place, you tend to have more advisors than you had before. And I will take this opportunity to advise Dr. Benjamin Bolmel that he has done brilliantly in the past by keeping, there are those who call him dumb, there are those who call him he has no confidence, he's inarticulate. I think he's the best. He has understood the 48 laws of power perfectly clear, that you should not outshine your master. Yeah, and especially if you are in a kingdom where the king is very jealous, you must live in his shadows. And Bol has done that perfectly. He pretends to be dumb. He has pretended to be dumb because this is the only way he can survive. And where he is now, he should continue until when, if where he has reached his final stage, then he must unleash his potential. He must unleash his potential by following up with all the things he has promised yesterday. They should not be just made onto the hair. He must follow up. And number two, he must really build that road to Bargazal. Because if he does not finish that one, it will always be a monkey on his back. A monkey that will be lapping on his back, because this is a man who appeared from nowhere. And for you to climb that ladder from nowhere, it means his stay there will be very hard. He will find it very difficult, extremely difficult to stay as vice president. Or if God is working for him another ambition, he will find it very hard to govern.
Say he has reached the semi-finals.
Yes, if he has reached the semi-final, he must properly prepare for it. He must not only please those who give him power, he must please the people. This is the time where he can sell himself to the people, because there are serious people who are also buying for that post. And these people have credentials. These people have done better than Bol. So it is an opportunity for Bol to showcase what he has. And to the audience that you have, I want to appreciate them for listening to us, giving the time to us, for me to speak to them. I do not have monopoly of knowledge, but I always encourage us to listen as part of dialogue and wisdom sharing and knowledge. No one is always right and no one is always wrong. So please participate in this conversation. The future belongs to us as young people, because I know particularly your audience are young, and they should brace for this, and they should encourage initiatives like this.
What a way to finish the show with the barrister himself, Mr. Majak Makoi. Or Mr. Makoi Majak. Mr. Makoi Majak.
Yes.
I really appreciate your time coming here. And to our audience, keep us updated. Tune in your thoughts in the comment section, and we'll bring him back. I know he's a man who you've been requesting.
I will be back.
Since we started the show, people like, we bring Makoi.
I am around.
We need him.
I'm now around.
We'll be seeing more among other panelists on the show. So it has been The Point, and I've been your host, Admiral Carl Gordon.
Point mate.
The Point.
Thank you.